Welcome back, everyone. We've got some good news for you today. X Labs have released the first IP adapter for Flux. We've got some good demos here. As you can see, what I've done is I've loaded in my Assassin Carb Lora over the top of a standard image prompt, which is using one of the one of the training images for Assassin Carb as the IP adapter input. And there is a different sampler method, which we're going to take a look at. And I've provided some comparison workflows as well in the latest pack. So it's version 15. Before I forget, hit that bell. Now, where were we? Got a whole bunch of examples up here for you, a whole bunch more down in the bottom. But essentially, let's get started and take a look at how you're going to what you're going to need. So first of all, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you will find the links to the new things you're going to need. So that would be under IP adapter. There's two things. You need a Clip Vision L and the actual IP adapter model. The Clip Vision goes in Clip Vision and the IP adapter goes in Models X Labs IP adapters. There's also the IP adapter nodes. I'd grab these ones first because when you install these, it's going to create the subfolders. Or it's going to create these subfolders. You can just make them though. So if we take a quick look at the Flux comfyui nodes GitHub, it gives you a brief explanation of everything I've just said, tells you where to put stuff. I found that I couldn't run the setup Pi, and I do have a workaround for that in the Discord. I'm going to be providing some scripts in my DJZ nodes so you can just drop a batch file into a custom node, and it doesn't matter if it's requirements or setup, one of them will cover it. So anyway, I'll take a look at that another time. So once you've got everything set up, obviously I've told you already where to put the things that you're going to want to need. They do provide a way to load Loras and things, so it's all inside their pipeline. But I'm going to be doing a bit of a merge. So we're going to be using the control nets that we've already got, and we're going to be using the any Loras that we've already got. We're not going to move them. Anyway, so you're going to want to take the Clip Vision L, as I say, put it where I said, the IP adapter as well. I'm going to grab both of those, install the custom nodes, and then this is workflow number 1. So Flux IP adapter, it's just like all of the other nodes in the pack. You've got a custom directory saving structure. You've got your aspectsizer. We have bypassers for turning on and off groups, but you don't really need to turn them on and off. There's only these two. I suppose it's for if you build on it. I am using the same Flux Schnell with the FP8 E4 M3FN, which I've been using for the whole of this tutorial series. It's been very tempting to use some other type of model, but I think that deserves its own video. For now, you can hook them up using these reroutes. So it doesn't matter really which one you have, as long as you hook it up there. So I've tried to make it nice and easy for you. You can just hook up, if it's a GGUF loader, or this one, or one of the many other different types of loading this model, you can just change the hookup and away you go. Because they all have different recommended ways of running, but the rest of it is the same. New addition is we have the option of running Auraflow. So it's 1 for Auraflow and 2 for model sampling Flux. This is the boost method, which I love so much and I love the boost, so I'm leaving it on the boost. We've also got the same image to image or text to image. So 1 is text to image and 2 is image to image. It's also going to automatically switch the denoise preset for image to image, unless I deleted it. Looks like I deleted it on this one. Huh, that's nice. Okay, so there's no... Okay, so I'll have to remember to put that in. So where's the denoise then? Ah, yeah, that's right. I remember now. So something important to note. It doesn't have denoise. It has image to image strength, which is the opposite. So, or I think it's the opposite. I thought it was the opposite. Maybe I'm wrong. But the point is it's image to image strength is the denoise. Okay. 0.5 is 0.5, whichever way you slice it. So right now I've put in a armored guy, and this is the prompt. This is what it's trying to make. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to unbypass the IP adapter and let it run again. And we're going to be doing 50 steps, which is what they recommended. That was their default. So I'm going to go with 50 steps. And we've got the strength at 0.92 on the IP adapter. Anything else? I've got my boost at 1.5, which is pretty high, actually. And then we're going to wait and see what it gives us. Okay, so I'm making a couple of these, and this is one of them. So as you can see, it's sort of stolen a little bit of the information from the other, but it's different because it's following my prompt. My prompt is kind of like a randomizer. I think it's probably included in the workflow, so you should be able to see what it is. But essentially, with this prompt and this image, we're getting some images like this. Hopefully, it's going to make some more for us. Okay. So as you can see, it's all working great. Just got to chug a few seeds out, and that's good. The basic workflows offer the actual functionality. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you the next two. The next one is going to have a Lora loader. And the one after that will have a Lora loader and a CNET stack. So then you can use ControlNet with this too. Finally, we'll take a quick look at the compare because it's the same, but with more outputs. So you can compare against different settings. Mostly to see what the old method that we used to use is like with the new method that we're now, because obviously this is a completely different setup here. You can't change the scheduler, which is quite annoying, but it does give it gives good results. So, I'm not complaining. IP adapter is like really the final cherry on top. Um, it's quite a basic implementation of IP adapter, but it is the first one. So maybe we'll see some more developments because obviously IP adapter V2 from Matteo had a hell of a lot more features. So, and here it is, Flux Lora IP adapter. Exactly the same as the last workflow with one difference. We now have a Lora stack here. Obviously, if you don't want to use the Loras, you can turn them on and off, or you can use Control B and bypass the apply. All right. It's got all the same options, text to image, image to image. It has the presets for the denoise. All right. You've got to use naught for text to image with an empty latent. You've got to use 0. And then when you're using image to image, you've got to use something other than 0. It will throw an error, or it did with me anyway. It doesn't like image to image without adding some denoising. So there you have that. That's all I had to say about that, really. You know what it is. You turn on your Lora, use your triggers in the prompt, and then it will have an influence on the output. Plenty of examples up on the Civic page if you want to go and check them out. There's a whole load in the gallery. Let me see if I can get all the way up to the top. It's getting quite large, isn't it? There's a whole bunch of cool images showing where we've used IP adapter, tried to make some comparisons. So this one is the Flux Lora IP adapter. So there's your stack. All works exactly the same as usual. So now we can move on to the next one. Oh, look, it barely even changed. So here we are with Flux Lora CNET IP adapter. Now, the CNET part is here after the main conditioning, but before all of the IP adapter stuff. So by doing it in that order, we've got access to our stack, just like before. It's the same settings I was using in the CNET demo. Only difference, obviously, well, it's not a difference. You've got an on-off here if you haven't used it before. You've also got on-offs for all of the different control nets. I've got it pre-set up with the sort of config that I like to use. We're using Zoe depth, we're using Canny, we're not using HED, but it is there. I'm using the load and resize image, and then we've got a separate for the IP adapter. That way you can use a different image for the IP adapter than you do for the image that's going in on image to image. So let's take a look and see what this is going to make with one. So we're using the trigger prompt from my Lora, and we're going to be running my Lora Assassin Carb with the not the true world on, and we're going to be using text to image. So I think that's everything I need to set up. But instead of using the same image, I'm going to use something else. So in the end, I decided to go with this image from the Thora test set, and we'll see what it does in just a second. Okay, so we got our first results, and let's see. So it's used the sort of compositional format of this image with the corridor and everything else. But then it's used a heavy sort of influence from the Lora and the prompt. So what I'm going to do is change the image input. Right, so I've changed it to this, which is a bunch of architecture, cliffs. And so there we have our results. It's made a bunch of architectural stuff with the Skelly Boy in there. We've got our text. All right. I could throw this into our boosted upscaler and get some more details out of it when we make it larger. But for now, what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick look at the IP adapter with the CNET and the Lora on image-to-image mode, and I'm going to change the input for IP adapter. Okay, so I've picked my plague mask, my plague doctor, and then I've picked this image-to-image here of this lady. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on image-to-image. Just take a look here. We're using 0.6, which is pretty high. The shift model shift is at 1.5. I believe everything's loaded, so let's give it a go. Okay, so that's pretty damn cool. So we've taken this as our base. We've loaded our prompt, which was holding a sign, depiction of assassin. That's the trigger for the Lora. That's the main prompt. We've triggered it with assassin carb on 1 and not the true world on 0.7. That's version 1. And then we've used canny and depth with the recipe that I normally use. We've used the IP adapter for the plague doctor. And then this is our result. And like I said, this can be, like I said, it's got some artifacts. You might want to turn down the strength a bit. I actually think 0.7 is a bit more realistic. So let's give that one a quick blast. Okay, so I've turned down the IP adapter and it's a lot better, but it's still a little bit overcut. So what I'm going to do is back off the image to image strength a bit. Let's just try 0.5. Give that a shot, see how it goes. There we go. All right. So as we back it off, it's going to get better. And then we can mess around with the boost as well. So we can turn that down. Now, I don't want to make the video really long. So what I'm going to do is jump into the compares. And I'll leave you to it because you guys know what IP adapter is. You know what CNET is. We've done videos on this in the past. Okay, so here we have Flux Lora CNET with IP adapter. Now this is the compare version. There are 3 versions of all the workflows. There's a compare version of every workflow in the pack. They're in a subfolder. They will produce a little comparison table, a grid at the end when they're done. You've obviously got your Lora stack, your CNET stack. You've got the old backend. This is the previous way we used to make all the images with Flux. And then you've also got CNET off, so there's no CNET going into the new XLabs sampler. And then we got 2 2 IP adapter strengths. Okay. Currently, both of them they're being fed by the same image, which is one of my assassins. And I think we're using a randomizer. No, we're using the prompt for carb. Obviously using the assassin Lora, and the not the true world is off. And off it goes. So I will see you in a second. So the first image we get out is from the standard sampler, which is the way we were making images in all of the other workflows in the pack. It's not bad. And here is the image that we get out of the sampler for XLabs with no IP adapter info being fed into it. It's pretty basic, but it's clean. Okay, we got our first image and it's definitely trying to make something like what it was given. This is very similar to the data set actually, but we lost a bit of consistency. I think this is because this is 0.9. The next image will be dialing it back to 0.7. Okay, and then there's the last one. Right, now, obviously, the purpose of this is to compare them all, right? So what we've got at the very end is we've got this grid. So we've got Foda standard, which is what you would have got from any of the other workflows in the pack. IP off, which is what you get from the, I think it's because it's Clip Vision L heavy, which does tend to produce stuff more like this. But then as soon as we turn the IP adapter on, yeah, it's pretty cool. Like I said, there's going to be a lot we need to play around with. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So I just wanted to show you that new workflow pack is up. I recommend using the basics because you don't really need all of this comparison stuff, but it is nice to run if you do want to like tune your settings. So there it is. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. So, memberships are here. I've added donator and member. The donator membership is just you want to support the channel, help us grow. Member, you're going to get some exclusive video access. And check out the join now button for more information.